Welcome to Inland Empire Alive, bringing you issues, events, and perspectives from throughout San Bernardino and Riverside counties. I'm David Brady, and on today's show, Zach Cordner and Ken Crawford talk about a new museum exhibit chronicling Riverside's past punk rock, hardcore, and ska scene. That's today on Inland Empire Alive. Well, here with all the details about a Riverside Museum exhibit devoted to Riverside's hardcore punk ska scene are Zach Cordner and Ken Crawford. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk about this terrific exhibit. It's called 60 Miles East, Riverside's underground punk rock, hardcore, and ska scene from the late 1980s to early 2000. Why that specific period?
Because it's the one we existed in most. We're both approximately the same age, our late 40s, so that early 90s through 2000 is our wheelhouse, our teenage and young adult years.
Well, now I know you guys go way back, all the way back to elementary school. Talk to me a little bit about how you sort of connected in high school and bonded over both skateboarding and punk rock.
Yeah, Ken and I grew up in Riverside together, went to elementary, junior high, and high school. We really reconnected in high school. We were both skateboarders in the skateboarding scene, and it was a very tight-knit, small scene. And within that, we were into punk rock and hardcore music. So that's really how we bonded and started our friendship and became friends with so many other people that were into those music scenes at the time.
Did you imagine all these decades later you would be talking about it in such a respectable way? I mean, you're literally talking about a museum exhibit. I mean, what more sort of credibility could it have than that?
Yeah, certainly at the time, we weren't thinking about anything
Any legacy.
30 years in the future at all. Yeah. We're excited to tell the story now. We found it to be very relevant, and so many of the people that we've run into, value that time of their past as much as we do. We seem to have struck a nerve, but certainly in the early 90s, we weren't thinking of really anything that would be happening in 2025, much less telling that story.
Now, when it came time to create this exhibit, did it amaze you that so much of this raw material still existed, that people had all these flyers, they had the t-shirts, they had these props, that you could still find this to put on an exhibit of this scale?
Yeah. I mean, we had to really do our research and connect with people, but a lot of people had collections for us to share with us.
How long did it take to pull together everything you ended up displaying?
Oh man,
Over a year.
Over a year. Yeah. We had to track down a lot of items and memorabilia from different people, band members. So it was a long process.
Well, talk me through the exhibit. What are some things that people are going to see when they walk through? I know a lot of it is your photography.
It is, yeah. A lot of it, in high school, I was into photography. I was obsessed with skateboarding and punk rock, hardcore music. So I converted my bathroom into a dark room in high school and would print and develop all my own film and shoot for local bands. And they would use my photos for albums and for flyers and stuff, So, I got my hustle on very early.
Did you have a sense you would make a career out of your passion? Both of you ultimately did, I guess.
Yeah. Me, I went straight from high school to college to shooting music, celebrity, and athletes. That was my niche, and that's been my niche for the last 30 years.
Yeah. Ken, I know you went on to be a writer?
Yeah, journalism is kind of my midlife career change. Starting about 5 years ago with Riversider, recently with Raincross Gazette. I'm working there mostly as a freelancer now, and then hopefully more projects in the future. I did have a regular job for 23 years, but I'm very happy to be doing it now, and excited to tell all these stories that are emerging as we interview and find these people. We're finding all of these interesting things, not from my own personal life, of course, but I'm excited to tell the stories of people who did some really amazing things, have made exciting lives, touring the world in bands, and just unique things within our own community.
Well, how important was it to both of you to tell the story of Riverside specifically? Because so much of the punk scene in Southern California, people think of as Orange County, they think of LA. How important was it to you to sort of shine that spotlight on where you came from and the culture and the community where you were from?
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of 60 Miles East. When you're from Riverside or San Bernardino, and people ask you where that is, you say 60 miles east of Los Angeles. It becomes kind of an identity marker. But part of that is being in the shadow of a cultural juggernaut, right? So San Bernardino's a big town. Riverside's a big town. There's a lot of great things that have happened and are happening culturally through, the Cheech and Ram and all of these institutions, as well as just, non-institutional, organic, grassroots type arts movements. We shouldn't expect LA to tell that story. And we're finding that Riverside has been an excellent platform, a well-respected institution. And if we can take 60 Miles East and tell more of those stories about Riverside and Inland Empire things, then we don't have to rely on LA to come out here and find stories. We can just tell our own stories.
Well, we will hear much more from Zach Cordner and Ken Crawford about the 60 Miles East exhibit at Riverside Art Museum right after these messages.
The City of San Bernardino has implemented a new low-cost sidewalk vending program in hopes of expanding opportunity for community members to start sidewalk vending safely and lawfully. We want everyone to have access to the economic benefits that sidewalk vending brings, but we want to make sure that our sidewalk vendors know the do's and don'ts when it comes to our city. We must make sure that vendors are keeping our residents safe by following general health and safety standards and by following all city rules. Like, did you know to legally sidewalk vend in the city of San Bernardino, you'll need a seller's permit? What about the $1 million general liability insurance that you are required to have? Don't let this scare you. When all is said and done, the cost of the annual permit will either be $64 or $154. We want to help in every way we can when it comes to vendors lawfully running and growing their small businesses. But those who operate without the proper permits can and will be cited. Citations can run anywhere from 100 to a misdemeanor, and repeated violations can result in the confiscation of items needed to sidewalk vend. We do not want this to be you. So, if you have any questions or concerns regarding the new sidewalk vending program, please call us at 909-384-5035, where staff will help you navigate your way to becoming a safe and permitted vendor in our city.
Well, I'm talking with Zach Cordner and Ken Crawford about 60 Miles East, a new exhibit at Riverside Art Museum that traces Riverside past punk rock, hardcore, and ska scene. Tell me about some of the hardest to find items for this exhibit. What were the holy grail items you had to track down?
We talk about Spankies and Showcase.
Well, there's some really cool things. Spankies, we have the sign that was out on the mall.
A well-known venue.
Sign. It was a well-known venue. Some of the greatest bands of the era played in there, no doubt. Sublime. The coolest thing, the thing that gets the most attention, is there was a bicycle hanging from the ceiling of Showcase Theater. No real reason why. It was just a decoration.
But everybody remembers it.
But people remember it fondly. The fact that we were able to track that down and have it hanging from the ceiling inside the gallery has been really cool to see people reconnect with that object that just immediately floods them with memories. Yeah.
Has there been a lot of emotion uncorked by this? When you see people walk through and I was at that show!
A lot of that.
Or I was in that band.
Exactly.
And we never went anywhere.
Yeah, it's a lot of people coming to reminisce and also to show the younger generations, their kids, grandkids, like, this is the scene I was in, this is what I was a part of. And to have it there visually with all these amazing artifacts and photos, it really brings it up forward to, wow, Riverside really had a bustling music scene.
Are people shocked to discover the amount of talent that not only was homegrown here, but that played here?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, bands that, everyone will have heard that went all over the world, either started here or, played in front of crowds here.
Yeah, they are shocked. And the immediate response to that, the sentiment that gets expressed is where is that now? Mm-hmm. There really is a lack of all ages venues in general. we haven't had one really dedicated to all ages music for quite some time. Chain Reaction in Orange County just closed down this week. Those venues are disappearing, and it makes it really difficult without, I mean, that is the infrastructure that these subcultures are built on, is a permanent, long-standing venue where kids have agency to book bands, to, you know, create a scene, and it just doesn't exist right now.
I want to make sure we give a shout out to Travis Barker and 98 Posse. Can you talk about their involvement in the exhibit?
Yeah, so Travis Barker, he is from Fontana, but he lived in Riverside in the 90s, and that's where he basically got his music roots. We have a cover story on Travis.
And this is the drummer for Blink-182, for those
Yes.
that don't know.
Yeah, and
all the small things.
Yeah, all of that. So Travis, we would see at venues at the barn, the barn at UC Riverside. That was the promoter was 98 Posse. They put on all the shows there, and Travis worked for the promoter, who was Bill Fold. That's his name. and so Travis and Bill, built a friendship, and basically from there, Travis went on to the Aquabats. He's a ska band, and he was based in Riverside when he got into that band. And then he basically got headhunted to go to Blink-182.
The rest, as they say, is history.
But both Bill and Travis are the exhibition sponsors. As soon as we told them what we were doing, they were like, sign me up. What can we do to help support
Well, that must have
this?
been satisfying to have
It was
kind of
amazing.
their,
It's amazing to
imprint.
have their help, and their support behind it has really drawn a lot of attention to this exhibition.
Well, before I let you go, I want to talk about the magazine and sort of the work you do today in kind of chronicling the culture and art scene of Riverside. Can you talk about the Riversider?
Yeah, so the Riversider is a free magazine that's found all around the city of Riverside. You can find it at local businesses, restaurants, and the public library. Our whole thing is we don't mail it. We don't have subscribers. We want people to physically go out and find the magazine and support those businesses that carry the magazine. So grab a copy of the mag and some coffee at Molino's in downtown, you know? So that's the whole premise behind it, is to help get people aware of what's going on in Riverside and all the cool things and positive stories that are in Riverside that people don't know about.
Yeah.
Is it surprising to you, like how much content there is to sort of cover every issue?
No, it's not, honestly. Curating is always harder than collecting our content. It's easy to find stories. It's harder to kind of cut down and find the best and the most relevant, and the ones that kind of support our image of Riverside. But it's a great city. There's a lot to do. Finding stories has not been a problem so far.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure we let people know about the exhibit. It is 60 miles east. Riverside's underground punk rock, hardcore, and ska scene from the late 1980s to early 2000. It's at Riverside Art Museum. You can learn all about it at riversideartmuseum.org. Zach, Ken, thank you for being on the program, and thank you for the exhibit.
Thanks for having us.
Visit iealive.com.